What's up everyone, welcome to UpNext MMA. This is Rob. Today we're going to talk to you about 5 crazy things you did not know about one of the most interesting title challengers we've had in the UFC in quite some time, in Dominick Reyes. Now, we know a lot about Dominick Reyes from his epic title fight that he had with, I guess, former UFC Light Heavyweight champion and, in my opinion, the GOAT, Jon Jones, back at UFC, I think it was 247 in February of 2020. Now, Derek lost a razor-thin decision to Bones Jones in that fight that many people thought Dominick won. But I don't think it was a robbery. It was a close fight, though. It was a really close fight. He had Jon on the ropes the entire fight, and Jon just did not look as dominant as he usually does during his fights. Now, before we get into this list, please remember to smash the like button and comment if you enjoy the video, as well as subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we have a new video dropping. We try to get 3 to 4 videos out for you guys every week, and we try to keep the content rolling. Alright, let's get back to Dominick Reyes. Number 1. Dominick Reyes was born in Hespera, California on December 26, 1989. He is of Mexican-American descent, and he grew up in a pretty poor family. They did not live in the safest area of town either. Dominick grew up around gangs and crime, hence why his parents encouraged him to pursue sports as a way to keep him busy and off the streets, essentially away from those crime and gangs that could lead him down the wrong path in life. Also, this would make Dominick take school much more seriously, as it could lead to potential academic or athletic college scholarships. Reyes played many sports throughout his youth, but as an athletic phenom, he, excelled at an early age. He wrestled as well as played football for the majority of his youth and his teenage, adolescent years. Speaking of his athletic background, that leads us to our second crazy thing about Dominick Reyes. He was a former Division I college football player. Now, upon graduating from high school, Dominick accepted a scholarship to play Division I football at Stony Brook University in New York. Reyes played as a starting free safety for the latter 3 years of his collegiate career. Dominick was all-conference team twice, and he left Stony Brook as the all-time leader in solo tackles. I think what was the number? He had 158 tackles, solo tackles, recording 259 tackles total. He also was captain of the team during his senior year. Stony Brook still holds Dominick within high praise, and whenever you ask about him, about the coaching staff, they have great things to say about him. Which, his football career leads us to our next crazy thing about Dominick Reyes. Number 3. Dominick actually played in the NFL. So, due to Reyes' solid performances that he had on the collegiate level playing Division I college football, he received a good amount of buzz from many NFL teams. He was invited to work out for several organizations ahead of the 2013 NFL Draft. Unfortunately, many scouts referred to Reyes' skill, athleticism, and speed as average. Average just unfortunately doesn't cut it in the NFL. It doesn't blow anybody's hair back when it comes to drafting and recruitment. He would end up going undrafted in the 2013 NFL Draft, and Reyes knew, he knew that he would have a chance to play for some different practice squads over the next few months. But he would later be cut from a practice team roster, and this was tough for Reyes to deal with because his dream was to play for an NFL team under the big lights, and it kind of just wasn't meant to be. He experienced roadblocks at every turn, so he had to begin to process that he might have to move past football and move on with his life. And this is something that a lot of athletes have to accept when things don't come to fruition as they like. And Reyes obviously was able to pivot over to MMA and seek better prospers over there. But we've seen this with a few MMA fighters who are former football players: Brendan Schaub, Greg Hardy, Matt Mitrione, all guys who played in the NFL and, eventually washed out at some point, had to move on to something else. So it's interesting though, because Dominick has quite the diverse athletic background. Number 4, this kind of pivots away from what we're talking about in terms of Dominick Reyes' athletic background, but comes back around to another interesting fact about him, about his collegiate career, is that Dominick actually got a degree in information systems and had an IT job while fighting in the UFC. Now, luckily for Dominick Reyes, he received a degree in something that was actually useful in today's economic climate, especially in the corporate world. He got a degree in information systems, like I mentioned earlier, which is very useful in the growing fields of information technology and data management and warehousing. In 2017, he actually started working as an IT technical support specialist at a high school in Oak Hills, California, I believe. Dominick said he always had a backup plan if fighting or athletics never worked out. And the only issue was he could not just see himself living an ordinary life with a desk job. Now, this is great on Dominick because most fighters have no backup plans at all. It's fighting or nothing. So at least Dominick was smart enough to pursue a degree where he could actually get, a decent paying job. But like many of us, he just couldn't imagine himself doing that for the rest of his life. I can definitely relate to that, I'm sure many of you can feel that sentiment as well to some degree. Dominick would pretty much work his job during the day and pour himself into his MMA training at night. He would often compare himself to Clark Kent, being a regular person by day with a job, being a normal working class citizen, and then being superhuman with his hardcore MMA training at night. Now, this is not uncommon for many MMA fighters. We have touched on this in the past before. It's tough to make money in MMA, man. I mean, if you can retire comfortably from MMA, then you're outside the norm. And I've talked about this before in a previous video. I'll link it up top. Fighters doing well or prospering after MMA is very, very rare because a lot of them don't leave with a lot of money or notoriety. So it's tough for them to thrive afterwards. But outside, like the owners and executives of the UFC, like Dana White, plus, the champions, top contenders, and draws, most UFC fighters have a part-time or full-time job outside of fighting. These guys are not getting paid like, these guys, like all these guys in the NFL or the NBA, because the UFC just doesn't make as much money, and they have rosters that are rosters of a few hundred fighters. Now, Dominick was no different until last year when he left his job to focus on MMA full-time, citing a pay bump he had received from the UFC. Now, I'm pretty happy for Dominick because, he's getting paid and he's able to completely focus on fighting and his MMA career. Good for him. Number 5, Dominick Reyes' nickname is the Devastator. Now, he was given this nickname actually pretty early on in his MMA career, and it's usually because, as we know, Dominick has heavy hands and heavy strikes, but he was actually given this nickname particularly because of his kicks. Now, one of the big things about Dominick's striking game is his kicking. Now, he kicks a lot continuously towards opponents. I think the only person we really didn't see it against was against John Jones, but we saw it this past weekend with his fight against Jan. He kicks a lot, and his heavy kicks are one of the biggest reasons why people call him the Devastator, because it opens up his striking. So he used to drop training partners with this, and it's been quite a staple in a lot of his fights. So, the Devastator is known for his horrible, horrible kicks. So, look out for that. Unfortunately, Dominick is coming off 2 consecutive losses in title fights to John Jones and Jan Blachowicz. I think that's how you pronounce it. Probably butchered it, but sorry. Anyway, Dominick is only 30, going on 31 years old, and he has plenty of quality fight years left in him. So I'm excited to see what he does next, as well as for his future in the UFC. Who do you guys think he should fight next? Where do you think his career lies? Let me know in the comments. But anyway, this is it for this video. Please smash the like button if you enjoyed it, as well as subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know whenever we have a new video coming out. Also, what do you guys think about Dominick striking? What do you think of Dominick and this list as a whole? Also, is there anything that you think I left off the list? Once again, let me know in the comments. I appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.